So in this chapter, we're seeing Shoto's new power-up, I guess you could say, because he's finally fully able to use the Flash Fire Fist. And that is going to be like a big theme of this chapter because it further represents another dichotomy between the brothers here, Shoto and Dabi. Both of them have been trying to acquire this technique, which is like another aspect of them chasing after Endeavor. But Shoto learning this by Endeavor actually training him himself, as where Dabi, went on his own exiled path, watching Endeavor on TV and whatnot, and then adapting it that way. And the chapter actually opens up with some exposition on Flash Fire Fist by saying it is performed by raising one's internal temperature and accumulating as much heat as humanly possible to then release it in an incredibly strong burst. This technique was honed by a young Endeavor, and it is considered the apex of fire moves. At the time of developing this technique, Endeavor felt like he had reached the limit of his potential. However, the heat from those flames would end up warping the future he dreamt of. And that is very true because it had. Because it says once he reached the limit of his potential, meaning he realized that he could only get so hot because his body would eventually overheat. Therefore, he felt at that limitation he would never be able to surpass All Might, which is like his life's goal. Where most of his hero career was kind of living and performing in the shadow of All Might, always being number 2. So that's where he came up with the plan of creating an offspring that would be able to surpass All Might. So that's why he went out and found Ray, who had an ice quirk, because he felt that if he were to have a child that could have a mixture of both quirks, the ice would be able to mitigate the overheating aspect of the Flash Fire Fist, therefore making them like the ultimate user of it. In that way, he thought they would be able to surpass All Might. But chasing this selfish, grandiose dream has led to this warped future, with Toya born, being told that he has more potential than Endeavor, because he technically does, as his flames can become hotter than Endeavor's. But he doesn't have the ice ability to mitigate the flames and the overheating. And Endeavor's training and overbearing pressure, and the way that he raised Toya, of course, led him to unfortunately becoming Dabi. But eventually Endeavor's plan led to Shoto being born, which further caused him to warp another child's life with Shoto. So this entire ruined family, it's not just the two brothers here. Obviously we see Ray is like in a psychiatric ward, or she was. The other two siblings are, made out kind of better because they weren't what he was looking for, but still they have a ruined family. All of this is a result of one man's insecurities and selfish desires. Also guys, could you please subscribe to this channel? There's like thousands of you that consistently watch my Hero videos, but you don't subscribe. And if you don't want to because I'm not good enough or whatever, I totally understand that. But if you just didn't think about it and you do want to subscribe now that I brought it up, then could you please do that? Thanks, guys. But we further see Dabi attacking Shoto, and Shoto says at this rate which he's raising his temperature up is not normal. He's getting so hot that he's further melting the All Might statue, which goes back to how he always had more potential than Endeavor to become hotter than him. But even at this point, Shoto is still able to fight against him due to the proprietary technique that he's come up with, which we'll go into. And he's like, I'll be the one who stops you. But then Dabi's like, don't get it twisted. I've been preparing for years for the day I'll murder you. It all began from the moment I tried to regain my power. All I knew was how to ramp up my heat. And then he replays what Endeavor told him in his mind, saying, you've got more talent than me. And he's like, those words made me feel like I could do anything. And then we see Dabi activate his own Flash Fire Fist, something that Endeavor didn't really want to teach him, because he knew that Dabi had even a weaker constitution for the fire than he did, and he didn't want Toya to kill himself because of this. And he goes on to activate his own Hell Spider. We've seen Endeavor do this before, especially against the hiatus. Speaking of that, we see a lot of parallels to that fight in this chapter as well. He used the Hell Spider as a distraction, and he winds up behind Shoto. And he's like, how did you have the patience to stay housed with all of those pathetic civilians while what was going on? Have you no shame at all, Shoto? You had the perfect body, the perfect training environment, and then you chose to cling to others? You'll never become a hero. And he blasts Dabi with a jet burn, another thing that we've seen Endeavor do against the hiatus. But even similar to that, he also hits Shoto into a building. This is an incredible sequence, and the anime, I just hope, does justice to it. But then Dabi realizes that he neutralized all of that heat, which goes back to the proprietary technique I was talking about that's it's revealed that Shoto developed specifically for Dabi. And we get a flashback of Shoto talking to Endeavor. And Endeavor says, among all the remaining heroes, you're the only one who can stand against him right now, meaning Dabi. Just like how Midoriya is the only one who could stop Shigaraki, you're going to have to stop him. And then he says to Dabi, yes, our house was hell, and yeah, our father was insane, but you're the one that decided to walk the path of murder. Which is, of course, another dichotomy of the brothers. Both victims of circumstance, both brought up through abuse, but it ultimately didn't mean that they had to lead the path of Dabi. They didn't have to become a psychopath. Although Shoto wasn't on a good path when we were first introduced to him in the series, he eventually came around once he was able to get new friends with Class 1A, or specifically Izuku. It goes back to what Dabi said earlier about you chose to cling to others, something that Dabi didn't do because he chose to, be like an exiled psychopath instead. We see Shoto in his full-blown flash fire fist mode, and he has like the flame X across his chest, which is similar to what Endeavor has. And his hair is like Super Saiyan-esque, almost looks like it's frozen in a way. And then he says, don't you ever again dare to steal lives of people who had nothing to do with your own downfall. Take it all out on us instead. And he hits Dabi with his new move called Phosphorus. And this, I guess, so far seems to be Shoto's like ultimate move. Obviously it's not like the prominence burn, and it doesn't seem to be incorporating ice, at least from what I could see, but it does seem like this is overpowering Dabi for sure. And I don't know if this is necessarily like going to be the finishing blow to him, but the way that this sequence is playing out, it very well maybe. Because also, throughout this fight, Dabi has been melting himself. Like, he almost completely has no skin left. He's kind of like a fiery Nomu zombie. So this very likely could be like the end of this fight, and Dabi is defeated. I don't know if this is going to kill Dabi, but man, it just seems very unlikely that he's going to survive at this point. But yeah, that's Shoto's new power-up and abilities and technique and attack. And unfortunately, my hero is going to be on a 2-week break after this, because next week, Jump as a whole is on break for Golden Week, and then after that, my hero will be on break. So the next chapter isn't going to come for 3 weeks, so we won't know for a while now. But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments. And if you like, guys, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.